And the Oscar goes to...
Thank you, and welcome back to the Riot Act. I'm Rishi Rajagopalan. That's right, I'd like to thank the Academy for being down so bad they cast me to play Kumail Nanjiani at this year's awards ceremony. I've been doing Pilates twice a day, and I think I'm ready for Eternals too. No? Okay, fine. This isn't actually an Oscar, but it's not because they didn't offer. I just think this YouTube show is a better gig. The Oscars haven't even had a host the past 3 years, and look at us. It's not just who's on stage. Academy Award show viewership has dropped from a peak of 55 million people in 1998 to only 10 million in 2021, the lowest number since viewership started being tracked. This show used to mean something. Remember this?
But I'm here and I'm happy. I just want to, oh, here we go. Okay, the studio, I love you, and Cameron Crowe and Tom Cruise. I love you, brother. I love you, man. Derek Rose, Sean Settles, Keith Butler, all my behind-the-scenes crew. Regina King, I love you. You did a great job when we made the movie. Everybody involved with the movie, I love you. Oh my goodness, here we are. I love you. I'm gonna keep going.
To be fair, Rod Tidwell suffered a lot of brain damage. Nowadays, our grand Oscar moments are Ellen DeGeneres selfies with Jennifer Lawrence, and Jennifer Lawrence falling on the stairs, and really, it's just Jennifer Lawrence. I think she's the main problem. But seriously, do the Oscars even matter anymore? Last year's rock bottom ratings weren't an anomaly. It's part of a broader trend, and the Academy knows that. In 2008, after box office juggernaut and Maggie Gyllenhaal propaganda vehicle The Dark Knight was snubbed for Best Picture, the Academy doubled its Best Picture nominee limit from 5 to 10 in an attempt to include bigger films and their fans. Of course, they could have just not nominated The Reader, which, if you don't remember, was about the only thing less viewed than the Oscars: books. The Dark Knight debacle cued the first major change in what would become a decade of the Academy tinkering and failing to bring their show into the modern era. The Best Picture expansion helped for a couple years. Bigger movies like Up, Inception, and Avatar got nods. I mean, Avatar was such a big hit, James Cameron has locked himself in a padded green cell for the past 13 years, making 4 sequels that will never come out. And even if they do, they'll probably be on the outside looking in. Since the Oscars changed that rule, the percentage of Best Picture nominees that were box office hits has actually fallen. That 1998 record year, the Best Picture winner was Titanic. In the decade of MCU dominance spanning Iron Man to Infinity War, only Black Panther scored a Best Picture nomination, while the actual winners had a very modest turnout. Does the MCU deserve to be treated as a peak of cinema? Sources say no, but it's a big reason why the Oscars have been losing viewers over the past decade, especially since 2015. That year marked the beginning of a vicious cycle of controversies that undermined the credibility the Academy held as an institution.
Category after category, Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actor, Best Supporting Actress. There were no people of color nominated in 2015. And this was the year that gave us Selma. I took to Twitter and I said one thing: Oscars so white they asked to touch my hair.
In 2015, all 20 nominees in acting categories were white. Bradley Cooper shot more people of color in American Sniper than have ever been nominated for an acting Oscar. Even when the field doesn't look like a hockey team, the only way non-white actors and actresses could get nominated was if they played into classical tropes of racialized poverty and suffering. Casey Affleck can get an Oscar for playing a pissed-off, drunk New Englander, aka Casey Affleck. But let's look at the past few nominations for ethnics, shall we? Steven Yeun in Minari lost The Farm. Riz Ahmed in Sound of Metal lost his hearing. Daniel Kaluuya in Judas and the Black Messiah lost his life. Joe Pesci in The Irishman? Okay, I fell asleep during The Irishman, but Italians go through a lot in this country too, okay? A broader look at the Oscars voting pool makes it clear exactly why the award show is so out of touch with the average moviegoer. In 2014, Oscar voters were 94% white and 77% male, with a median age of 63. The average Oscar voter is Joe Manchin. He doesn't just control our Senate, he controls our film industry, and definitely loved Green Book. He's out of line, and he's wrong. The year after Oscar So White, the Academy nominated all white actors and actresses again, and asked Chris Rock to host.
Well, I'm here at the Academy Awards, otherwise known as the White People's Choice Awards. You realize if they nominated host, I wouldn't even get this job. So y'all be watching Neil Patrick Harris right now. So I thought about quitting. I thought about it real hard, but I realized they're gonna have the Oscars anyway. They're not gonna cancel the Oscars because I quit, you know? And the last thing I need is to lose another job to Kevin Hart, okay?
Don't sweat it, Chris. This is one job Kevin Hart is not gonna get. In fall 2017, Tarana Burke's Me Too movement caught fire in Hollywood, with the Harvey Weinstein allegations leading to many actors, directors, producers, and studio heads being exposed for their misconduct behind the scenes. The following year saw the birth of Time's Up, and leading women took Hollywood to task with their speeches during the award show.
If I may be so honored to have all the female nominees in every category stand with me in this room tonight. The actors, Meryl, if you do it, everybody else will, come on. The filmmakers, the producers, the directors, the writers, the cinematographer, the composers, the songwriters, the designers. Come on.
That white woman, and that white woman, and this white woman, and Octavia Spencer. Come on! But even as the Oscars was trying to wrestle with the misogyny built into their industry, they continued to overwhelmingly nominate men for the most prestigious awards. This graphic doesn't include 2021, in which my close personal friend Chloe Zhao won for Nomadland, but the point is still clear as IMAX. So how has the Academy responded? Well, they've grown. Since 2016, the Academy has doubled its female members and tripled their members of color. In a world where everyone is chasing BIPOC, they achieved the elusive TRIPOC. Now, while these numbers sound very impressive, as you remember, the Academy was about as diverse as a Paul Ryan internship before, so they're only a fifth melanated and a third female. Plus one Awkwafina, whatever race she identifies as currently. But those changes have helped. Rami Malek, Steven Yeun, Riz Ahmed, and Taika Waititi have all notched first for their ethnic groups. Moonlight snatched Best Picture from La La Land the way La La Land snatched jazz from black people. Yeah, Green Book happened, but The Shape of Water was a huge win for the deaf and fish-fucking communities. And I guess both were a win for Octavia Spencer. Parasite sweeping the award show was the last good memory we had before we started bleaching groceries and doing push-up challenges on Instagram. Okay, that is not me, and I think we need to have a talk about deepfake technology next episode. Despite all of this, viewership for the TV program itself is still tanking, and it's not alone.
Well, in 120 years of movies being in our cinemas, we've never had to shut down like this before. We've been through wars, with natural disasters, depressions, but this pandemic shut us down entirely all across the country and indeed all across the world. And so we went from an industry making $40 billion a year to zero overnight.
Coronavirus changed the entertainment industry forever. Despite most of the theaters that survived opening back up, the lockdowns massively accelerated the shift to streaming services and at-home viewing. Streaming and video-on-demand releases more than tripled as studios either punted properties to digital, pushed them ahead to 2021, or both. As the 2021 Oscars notched record low viewership, the domestic box office fared about the same. The top 6 performers were all superhero movies. Dominic Toretto is basically Batman with a family. And only 11 movies grossed over 100 million. Compare that to 2019, when 29 films notched 100 mil at the box office. Of course, Disney still dominated the top of the charts, but look at Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Knives Out, Hustlers, and Us. Look at us.
Hey, look at us. Look at us, huh? Who would have thought?
Candyman barely cracked 60 million. These days, most people just aren't willing to go to the theaters for movies without blockbuster appeal. Those movies have to be more accessible to be seen, and the Oscars have recognized that. So let's talk about the upcoming 2022 awards, which probably won't be put in their cancel culture casket. Ryozuki Hamaguchi's Drive My Car scored 4 nominations. Jane Campion became the first ever female director to get nominated twice. I know. And we got acting noms for Will Smith, Denzel, Anjanae Ellis, Ariana DeBose, Javier Bardem, and Penelope Cruz. The last two are spicy whites, but we'll take what we can get. Half of the Best Picture nominations were either exclusive to streaming or released simultaneously in theaters, and Netflix was the most nominated studio for the third year straight. But even on streaming, the critical darlings aren't the popular hits. Big nominees like The Power of the Dog, The Lost Daughter, and Coda were not very widely discussed, although Don't Look Up did have the timeline ablaze. And speaking of the timeline,
this year's Oscars will have a brand new category where the audience will be able to vote online for their favorite movie of the year. Some people say this is good, some people say it's not. I pose the question to you all.
They're not going to get an Academy Award, though, that whatever category that is, right?
Oh,
it's a special award.
Oh, I don't like it.
That's right. This year's Oscars will have a fan favorite award determined by the esteemed Academy of Film Twitter. And who better to comment on the emergence of social media than the ladies of The View? I know Joy Behar's burner was lighting Meghan McCain up back in the day. But seriously, this is sort of monumental if you think about it. The Oscars are beating the highbrow allegations and will even be inviting Twitter voters to present an award in the future. We are so far removed from the days when The Godfather, Titanic, and The Lord of the Rings were fan and Oscar favorites. The Twitter Oscar is not a bona fide Academy Award, but it might help bridge that gap. And look, no one is saying that Spider-Man No Way Home is The Godfather. But this year's Best Picture contenders collectively generated less than a third of Spider-Man's box office revenue. And if that doesn't show the disconnect between the Academy and the people, I don't know what will. But drumming up some social media engagement isn't the biggest change to the broadcast this year.
8 different Oscar categories will not be given out during the live ceremony anymore. It has angered movie fans around the world because movies don't exist without these crafts that the Oscars have for some reason chosen to ignore.
See, the Oscars are notorious for dragging on longer than an uncomfortable teen sex scene in Euphoria. But unlike Sam Levinson, the Oscar producers have decided to cut back, slimming down the show in the hopes of winning back casual viewers. Now listen, shortening the broadcast may renew some interest, but this choice also sidelines technical workers and smaller productions that are already overlooked. And the thing is, the Oscars don't even need to worry about ratings from a financial standpoint. The Academy has built up $1 billion endowment through investments in their brand new museum and could afford to hold a $40 million award show every year off that interest alone. So when we ask ourselves if the Oscars still matter, what exactly does that mean? There are two viewpoints. For some people, viewership and relevance dictate what matters, and the Oscars need to acknowledge more popular movies in order to reestablish themselves. To me, that's bullshit. Sure, it's nice to have more people tune in, but guys, I was at Spider-Man No Way Home opening night. It was the most fun I had watching a movie last year. It was also nowhere near the best movie of last year. Trading in credibility for eyeballs will not save the Oscars. A Twitter award is fun, but we can look at Box Office Mojo to figure out what the masses saw. What the Oscars really matter for is recognizing the best of movie making and pushing the industry forward. That's what Oscars So White, Time's Up, and so many of the angry reactions around the show are about. There's long been a disconnect between Hollywood's biggest night and the year of movie making that precedes it. Of course your Academy Award isn't a meritocracy when your Academy is still 81% white. Film crews behind and in front of the camera are not nearly representative of the country they serve, especially at higher levels. On top of all that, these sets are not even safe working environments for women. Diversifying the Academy and these future eligibility requirements are steps in the right direction. But if you take a closer look, they're still playing it really safe. Movies like The Irishman would still qualify, and not because Italians are an underrepresented ethnic group. A hypothetical all-white male cast and crew could still be nominated just by throwing out a few internships and having a couple women on their marketing team. Ultimately, the Oscars have failed to live up to their promise. And if they want to matter again, this is what they need to do. Oh, here we go. Okay, to the studio, I love you. And Arvind Krishnamurthy, I love you. And Ashwin Ramesh, I love you, brother. I love you, man. And all the behind the scenes crew, Prashant Ramesh, Pranita Lokinendi, Sindhu Majeti, I love you. You did a great job when we made the show. Everybody involved with the show, I love you. Oh my goodness, here we are. Woo!